That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday. Almost game day. Almost game day. Listen, I got to be honest. I have to be. It doesn't matter how much I tell myself it's just the spring game. Look at these divided up teams. It's a glorified scrimmage. I don't care. I don't care. We're at the point of the year where if I don't go to this game and feel the Notre Dameness, then there's nothing going on till late August. And quite frankly, that's just too long for me to stay away. So I'm in a good mood. I get to go to campus. I don't care if it's cold. I get to go to campus and see some Notre Dame football stuff. Now, I'm open to the possibility I'm not going to like everything I want to see. You know I'm going to come back with a list of things that need to get better before we rejoin we're going to do all that. We're going to do all that. We're going to do all of the reaction. We're going to overreact and we're going to break it all down and all that. I don't care. I just want to see Notre Dame football. It's good for the soul. So I'm excited. And I'm glad you guys are here. Talk to a lot of people. Most people that were going to Blue and Gold are still going to go if the weather's bad. A lot of people don't live in town or within a 2-hour drive like I do. And those are people that got to plan for it and come into town. We're going to be there. We're having a party. I don't do anything quiet. So if I'm having a tailgate, we're going to have a hell of a time. So let's just all be in it together. All right. We have some interesting things to go over, okay? We're going to get to the chat. The phone lines are open, 312-900-8815. I'm going to add something to what we did the other day. I said, what do you want to see in this game? And I have people calling in, John, I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see this from this group, whatever. Various different things. You guys had really good answers. You guys had great answers. I'm also going to add in today, that still applies, what you want to see. But I'm also going to add in something else. What do you not want to see? What do you not want to see tomorrow? That's a... You know who that question's good for? Cousin Luke. That's good for Cousin Luke, our resident negative, who's always here, the resident skeptic. Always here, never misses a show, but never has anything good to say about Notre Dame. That's good for you, Cousin Luke. But I came up with a list of things I don't want to see. I'll be honest, in 1 minute, I came up with a dozen. Like, that's how long it takes me to think of the dark side of Notre Dame football. I said, what do I not want to see tomorrow? I came up with 12 things right off the top of my dome, which isn't the brightest bulb. If you haven't noticed, right off the top of the dome, I got 12 things I don't like. So let's get through the introduction. I'm going to get through the chats. I looked at some of the chats. One is some of you guys are hitting on some really good stuff that's on my list of things to go through. And number two, some of you guys are funny. God, I mean, some of the stuff you're writing, it cracks me up, and it's hard for me to keep a straight face, especially when I'm on the phone with people, and then funny things get typed in. I can't keep my mind on all of it. It gets me distracted, so you guys are great with that. YouTube, obviously, that is the website that houses this program. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Most of you people are here every day. If you didn't hit subscribe, I don't know what you're doing. Thumbs up. That helps me in the algorithm. Notifications on, that way you're alerted every time I drop something new. It'll go on your phone. Oh, John, something rattled into his brain. Check it out. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me. You can get me. Line 312-900-8815. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Fighting Irish Wire. You type it in the Google machine and you read all about Notre Dame football. We may actually have a call coming in here in a few minutes from my boss, the managing editor at the USA Today Fighting Irish Wire, Nick Shepkowski. He may be able to join us and we'll get some of his insight on what he's looking for Blue and Gold. and what he's not looking for. I'm open to both. You can tell me what you want to see, and you can tell me what you really don't want to see at the same time. It's really just up to you, whatever way you want to take it. All right, let's get through some of these chats. Oh, cousin Luke, I can always count on you. Let's start out the day negative. That's good. Trying to bring my mood down. It isn't that common for me to wake up in that great of a mood. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to Notre Dame tomorrow. I'm having Miller Lite for breakfast. Hanging out with a bunch of people that I love and that all love the same thing I love. Everything's trending up, and then cousin Luke comes in here with the first comment. Guys are leaving the program. Prince is gone, just not been made official. And Styles is most likely following suit, I'm hearing. All right, here's the question. I've heard the rumors about the prince and the king and the queen and everybody else. I've heard those rumors. Not been made official yet. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I understand the medical diagnosis given in the short term here. That could be a cover. It could be legitimate. I'm not acting like I know. I don't break a lot of news here. I react to a lot of news here. I'm not acting like I'm in the locker room with a hidden recording device. Here's my one on Styles. Styles is most likely following suit, I'm hearing. Here's my question about that. If I'm a guy that's at that point of frustration with Notre Dame overall, my playing time, my position that I'm playing, whatever. If I'm a guy that has those problems and I'm thinking about leaving Notre Dame, why then would he go to the media and give quotes about I'm ready to compete and I can do it on both sides of the ball and I'm ready to go? And why would he go out of his way to go to the staff and request to be on defense and do all that? I feel that if you were checked out, you wouldn't do all that. Where am I wrong? But I feel like if I am checked out emotionally and physically ready to get out of here and I have my line in the water in the transfer portal, or I have back channels to different, like whatever that is, I'm past the point of trying a new position and meet with the media and say, I think I could play both ways and be good at it. Why would you do all that? Wouldn't you be past that point then? So that's the part about that one I don't get. The Prince one is weird because I heard rumors about it like a week ago, and then I haven't heard a peep. I haven't gotten any more messages, none of my texts that give me little drops of information before they drop, like none of that. I heard something might be going on with this, and that was about a week ago, and I never got a follow-up. I never got anything giving me any indicator after that. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but thanks for the negativity to start the day. You're not going to bring me down. It's blue and gold. We're going to be at Notre Dame in the morning. I'm going to look up, see that beautiful gold dome. It's going to be beautiful. The dome is home, folks, for my soul. Matt Miller. Morning, John. Wish I could swing by the tailgate this weekend. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet up sometime during the season. Go Irish. I hope so, too. Here's the problem, you guys. I'm genuinely running into this issue, looking into next year. Obviously, I went to the Clemson game last year. I want to be there for Ohio State. I want to be there for USC. The issue is me going there for those games. I take the whole weekend, get into town Friday, early Friday afternoon. It's a lot of content I'm missing. I'm happy because I'm at the game and at Notre Dame, but I'm missing all the Friday shows, a pregame show, a postgame reaction show, all of that I'm missing. So it's really bad for the brand when I'm there, even though I get the fulfillment of the fan side of me. It's bad for business because I'm not doing my normal shows leading up and right after the biggest games. So I'm really struggling with that. A lot of people have asked me about the big games this year, what I'm going to go to. I'm really struggling with that. A part of me thinks I might just hit one of the early games that isn't going to have all the fanfare. So it's like not as big of a deal if it's like Tennessee State and not Ohio State that I'm not doing a pre and a post game show for. And the other thing I'm going to let you know, I think I've already made the decision, you guys, next year. I think we're just going to do a call-in reaction show 1 minute after every game ends. Like when I sit there and I think about what the best outlet is for you guys and when, I think I've come to the conclusion that good or bad, the call-in lines are never going to be as hot as they'll be right after the game. And I realize some people want to watch other games after ours or whatever, but I think the biggest market to get this Notre Dame emotion is going to be right when the game ends, good or bad. Fire up those phone lines and we could go at it. So book it, because I think that's what's happening next year. Oh, man. Cousin Luke, if he had his say, they would run the option. It's the only way ND can compete with the athletes they recruit, same as Holtz used to do it. We're turning into Navy, folks. Fire up that triple option and let's run it. Let's run it. Fire up that trip option. Oh, that's funny. I think. Kind of sad, but funny. I hope you don't really think that. And I hope some of that's changing. I hope we see some of those changes tomorrow, matter of fact. Steven, morning, Irish Nation, our fearless leader. John, I don't know where I'm leading you, but let's go. MJH Irish 84. Good morning, Monsignor John. I don't know what I need to do to deserve that moniker, Monsignor. That sounds pretty fancy, and I don't know if I'm qualified. I've been on a Notre Dame football free sabbatical, so I've been binging your shows the past 2 days. I have no clue what the 23 season will offer. I appreciate you binging the shows. I don't know either, and we're open. We're going to get some insight tomorrow. I don't know, and we're going to get into this. These rosters, and I know some people in the chat have hit on it, but these rosters and some of this is kind of stuff we need to get into. So we're going to do that as soon as I get through these chats. Oh, man. I'm confident it'll be a very hard-nosed team. I love this team and staff. I'm not confident yet it's going to be a hard-nosed team. I got to see that. Some of that stuff varies a little bit year to year, and the leadership you have on the team, the leadership you have, some of that physicality can move, like what's expected. They better be a very physical, hard-nosed team. You're going to need to be to navigate this schedule in one piece this year, damn it. So you better be physical, and it all starts tomorrow, even against our own guys. I don't care. Let me see it. Oh, $10 holler. You just bought a bunch more beer for somebody at the tailgate tomorrow. And that's something else I want you guys to know. Eric donated $100 the other day, wanted it to go to a cooler full of stuff. We're doing it. So, and he requested that the cooler not have my cheap beer in it, but like something a little more high class. We're going to do that. So all these donations, they're going right into the tailgate effort tomorrow to take feed to quench the thirst and fill the stomachs of the Fighting Irish faithful tomorrow. I'm so excited. I don't care if it's cold. Don't bring me down. We're having fun. Look at this. Happy Friday. We're talking him into it. We're trying to talk Cousin Luke into some positivity. Even Cousin Luke. Cousin Luke, here's what I want from you, my friend. I beg you, I implore you, Cousin Luke. I want you to come to the blue and gold tailgate tomorrow. I'll give you the red carpet. You could have the fancy chair. You could be the guest of honor. I'm going to feed you beer, and we're going to talk through it. Who hurt you? What hurt you? Why can't you even dream of any Notre Dame positivity? My nickname is Negative Nancy, and even I have dreams that someday it'll look like it should look. Listen to Pete from Rudy. Having dreams is what makes life tolerable. Have a dream and crack some lids with Always Irish tomorrow. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to talk you through it. We're going to feel better about things. Come on. Oh, boy. Here we go. I knew this was coming. Good morning, John. The books are cooked for Buckner. Hartman has one starter, one good freshman to throw to. In what world is that fair? All right. So people were asking me, what do you make before this draft? People were asking me, what do you make of them having a draft for this game? Does that take away from the competitiveness because it's it's not going to be like first string offense, first string defense. The talent's kind of divided up, right? Like your wide receiver room overall is divided into two teams. So people were asking, what can you take out of that you're going to have to calibrate in your mind when you watch this game? Just take the quarterbacks for existence, the number one thing everybody probably wants to see. And then the stretch down of that is the wide receivers that we all want to see. So then Mikey, God, you guys are good. You're hitting right on this. Here's Buckner's roster. Colsey, Tyree, Merriweather, James, Flores, tight ends, Holden Stays, and Eli Raridan. Now, if you flip over to Hartman, he's got Jaden Greathouse, Thomas, the cookie maker, Salerno, Evans is the tight end, and then guys I swear to God I've never heard of. And I am not trying to be mean. You could tell me that, oh, you don't know the roster. I have never heard of these names on this receiving list for Hartman. Never heard the names of the rest of the guys. So I don't know whether that's preferred walk-on or like what that is. There are literal names I've never heard of in my entire life. So I don't know what to make of that. But in a dynamic where everybody's comparing these quarterbacks, that gets interesting to me because everybody's going to compare Buckner and Hartman. And then the discussion's going to turn into how fair, I already know how this is going to go. How fair is that? Because it looks like Buckner has way more guys to throw to than Hartman does. And how are you going to make that fair? I already see that being an issue and a talking point, and it's already getting brought up. And I was kind of saying before the draft, I was kind of saying, well, let's just see what it's going to end up like. Like, I'm sure it's going to end up pretty fair down the middle each way, whatever. I mean, I got to admit, Buckner's got the edge on the wide receivers here. So let's see what happens. So I don't know if that means the books are cooked or they want to, maybe it's just the way the draft fell and there's nothing more to it. I don't know the answer to that. But it is very, very interesting. And I don't know what you make of that. Could I ask, do you think it would be more helpful, the same amount helpful, or not helpful at all, if they just had the number one offense go against the number one defense with one of the quarterbacks for a while, a few drives, and then switch it and have the number one offense and the number one defense with the other quarterback for a while, and then maybe divide it up and do whatever else you want to do after that or something? I don't know the answer. This isn't like a hard line stance. We're talking about the practice game for Pete's sake. But I just wonder that, like, would you get more answers, I guess, to where these groups are at overall if it was straight up your number one offense, your number one defense, and then switch the quarterbacks out, but keep that? As a fan, I think that's a lot easier to keep track of because you know all the wide receivers and you're going to have the offensive line, all that. But there's a reason they divide it out like this. So maybe it's not as helpful as I think it would be. But I think as a fan, it's kind of natural to want to see like your number one starters on offense go against your number one starters on defense. Dividing it out, I get it. But I think it makes it a little harder to tell. See, we got the conspiracy theory already. I watched the draft and Payne was the first overall pick. Am I missing something here? Is he a bell cow back? I don't want to get too far down that road. Like, I don't want to get wrapped too much into this. Just give me good, solid overall football play for both sides, whoever's the hell's out there. Just, can we do that? Can we please do that? That's all I'm asking. Look at this. Nick Dean packing stuff to go up to the blue and gold game. Hopefully we'll get to meet John the Great Go Fighting Irish. Nick, I believe I emailed your wife back. She emailed me something about tomorrow. I got back to her yesterday. I'm expecting to see you. You're certainly welcome. Come on by, crack some lids, say hello. We're going to have a good day. Angela, John the Great, she's laughing. Yeah, I guess he's kind of cool. Angela has a lot more history with me than most people here do. So I don't blame her for seeing me a different way. She's known me a long time, for better or worse. The Sunset Kid. John, look at this. Look at that. Look at you guys go. Look at you guys go on a Friday. John, any word on safety protocols with TB12 and steps before the blue and gold game? Any truth to Sam Hartman hiring Tanya Harding to go clubbing? This is what I mean when I say you guys are hilarious. Tyler Buckner is in bubble wrap. He's not allowed to use stairs. So, but for between now and the game, it's escalator, elevator only for Buckner. But the Sam Hartman hiring Tanya Harding thing, you could just picture like the remake of the documentary. And you got Buckner laying in like the stairwell of the locker room and he's going, why? And I see that white trash rat, Tanya Harding, running around, but behind the corner while her boyfriend has a hockey stick or a bat, whatever it is. Unbelievable. I could just see it now. Why? Crying. Oh, my God. That was so wild. That was wild. Yeah, elevator from now on. Unbelievable. Spring game. Then a month and a few days before the redemption tour. It's a long time. It's just a damn long time. It really is. Oh, look at this. Michael Phillips. John, I wish I could visit the tailgate this weekend. I'm stuck going to a birthday party for a 1-year-old instead of the blue and gold game. Judas Priest, not happy about that. That's a tough one. I think most people that are in a family that's like we are, obsessed with all this stuff, know fall Saturdays are off limits. This is one that sneaks up on you and there's not much you could do. That's rough because it's just a scrimmage, especially if you have the Peacock app. That's a bad look because you could get it there. That's rough. Dr. John, what up? Good morning. Patio eaters are available at Lowe's. 4660 Grape Road, Mishawaka. John, we don't need that. We're Notre Dame fans, okay? This school hasn't moved. We know it's off the lake and you get all kinds of weather. Drink your beer till you're warm. That's what I say for this game. Michael Ursone, good to see you. ND9, good morning, out fighting Irish fam. Looking forward to the blue and gold game. Wish it wasn't on Peacock. Yeah, I don't wish it was either. Whether I'm there or not, it's a bad, cheap look, in my opinion. Craig's, of course, Craig will be there tomorrow. Craig says the shirt is red this year. I like that. You guys are funny. We're going to blend right in. Ohio State red, Cincinnati red, Georgia red, Nebraska red. Why is it always red that takes over our home? The only thing that should be red in there is Kelly's face when he's upset. And I'm glad that it's no longer his home for that. So never mind. Big John, need you out there grabbing people to go to the game. Fill it up. Come on, people. Let's go. It's Notre Dame football. 773, you're on with me. It's Patrick Cotter. He's here to ruin your Friday.
Why do you got to leave me off like that? I'm not here to ruin anyone's Friday.
Oh, God, you're the best social assassin I know, man. Play it cool, all that. And then the second that door cracks open, bam, there you go. I love this disarming style you have. Oh, I'm just here to be friends with everybody. And then you're nailing people in the chat, bullet point by bullet point. What's up, Pat? What's up?
Okay, name me all of the Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame wide receivers that Tom Brady threw to.
Why are we doing this?
Because you're complaining about Hartman's roster.
I'm just saying a lot of people have mentioned to me, is that something that you should consider? And I still think that might be overdoing it for a spring game. I think that's I actually think. But Pat, I'm trying to get ahead of the material, Pat. Because you and I both know.
No, I know.
Looking at those quarterbacks is the number one thing. And then I'm going to hear, oh, Hartman had more incompletions. Yeah. And then people are going to say, but look who he's throwing to, the cookie guy. He's throwing to the cookie people. Salerno. And so I'm trying to get out of the narrative.
Or he goes like 12 for 15 for, 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then you're like, and he's throwing to the cookie people.
Pat, I heard that it's going to be too cold and windy, and they're just going to do handoffs for 2 hours straight, both ways. That's what's going to happen.
I think they're going to take the Brian Kelly Clemson Hurricane playbook and throw it 50 times.
Yeah, I would like to see that, actually. No, but Pat,
when you want to see it,
Pat, when spring ball.
My overall point with Hartman, John.
Yeah.
Hold on. My overall point with Hartman is that there are so many great quarterbacks throughout history. You can't name the wide receivers outside of like Marvin Harrison with Peyton. Maybe there's a great tight end or something like that, but who quarterbacks make receivers? And I look at this as a test for Hartman to say, let's see how good you are. You got to have to put the ball on the money every time for these guys to catch it, because they're not the great talent. As long as these guys can run routes and put their hands up and the ball is there, Hartman should look great. So I look at this as a great test for Hartman to actually show he's got the skill set everyone has been saying he has.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. And you know what I'm thinking about, Pat? When spring ball first opened, you and I talked, and it was right after the offense coordinator thing, and we were talking about what do you want to see this spring and everything. And I think it's going to get overblown, Pat. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of competition here. The quarterback thing's a big deal. Like, whatever happens in this scrimmage is going to get blown out of proportion. And I may be guilty of that, but I'm just trying to get out of it because you know how this is going to go, and so do I.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm reading Lawrence Dockery's comment on I never heard of Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, and Brian Van Gorder's burner kind of came back, and it. Of course, there's great wide receivers. Obviously there's great wide receivers, and Jerry Rice had 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football throwing to them in Joe Montana and Steve Young. So, and then Randy Moss had to bounce around his entire career until he got to Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl. So.
Yeah.
It proves my point. But go ahead.
What do you make of them saying it's the open competition thing? Do you still believe that 100%, or do you think they know what they want to do and they're stretching it? You think it's legitimate 100% open?
I think it's legitimate in terms of if Tyler Buckner just blew the doors off Hartman, he would win the job. I don't believe that's going to happen. I don't believe they believe that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
you got to be open to it.
Here's the thing. Right, exactly. And when Brian Kelly said it, and this isn't trying to be like a comparison thing, but it's just when Brian Kelly quarterback competition, you didn't know what the hell was going on. And you always knew kind of who the guy was going to be regardless. And in this situation, you know who the guy is going to be as well. But I think Marcus Freeman has too much integrity to blow smoke.
Yeah.
I really – because and the perfect example is what he did with Pine. He sat Pine down at the end of the season and said, we're going to go another direction. We're going to get a transfer in here. We have to get a different body in here. We don't think you're going to be the guy. If you want to stay, you can stay. If you want to go, go. And he went. And I didn't like that move. I think the job of a head coach should be to keep every player at Notre Dame so they get that degree. But I respect that move because he was honest with the kid and gave the kid the opportunity to make a choice.
Yeah.
So he can keep playing.
Well, and what I think that indicates is Freeman being a little bit more hardlined about what we need here, while also looking out for the guy, saying if you really want to play and that's a priority, then we both would be served by you looking into this. And I think that's a win for everybody, albeit a situation I admit isn't ideal. You want your Notre Dame guys to get their degrees and everything, but I also need a quarterback that's bigger than 4'3". So, you need what you need. Can I ask you this, Pat? Let me ask you this.
To kind of sign that off is, at the end of the day, like again, I said this last time we talked, is that I don't know how long this quarterback competition is going to go. It's going to go into fall ball, but is it the first day of fall ball? Is it the second week of fall ball?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is about competition. There hasn't been competition for playing positions in this program in years. And I'm not trying to say it's a reflection of recruiting. Guys were coming into the program and didn't have the skill set to play right away. And so the older guys never got pushed. So then we would go on a national stage and get embarrassed because there was never true competition. If you go back to Pete Carroll's days at USC and you listen to the guys and what they talk about, every starter would have told you that every practice we thought we could lose our starting position because of the competition, because Pete let us know that if we didn't play balls to the wall in practice, we were on the bench. And that when you haven't heard that at Notre Dame since Lou Holtz, and Nick Saban is the same way. Urban Meyer was the same way. Kirby Smart is the same way. Dabo Swinney is the same way. If you have the guys that win, they make, as Lou always said, practice harder than the games. And I don't think Notre Dame has had that. And I don't know if they had that last year. And I hope Freeman is waking up to that. And this QB competition is a reflection of it.
Yeah. But isn't that the point of how all this should go? If you're a higher level program, the idea would be that you're bringing in at least a certain percentage of young guys that right away, when they walk in the building and sign their letter, make the other guys a little nervous. And they go, oh crap, I better keep on my stuff, or this young wide receiver, he's going to run right by me. And that's not comfortable. And then you got to work harder in the weight room. And then you're not dogging it, making your cuts in practice. Like, you're right. Notre Dame needs way more of that. Now, It's not going to be 9 5-stars in a class like Alabama, and we all know that. Even if you had 1 or 2 guys on each side of the ball that could challenge like that at a key position, that even would count as progress, in my opinion. I don't even think we're there yet.
Yeah. And I wonder, I agree with that. We're not there yet. But I also wonder now that, because we know there's going to be transfers after Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's not just because Styles or Prince, but it's because there needs to be transfers. They're over on scholarships. They need to lose at least 2 to 3 guys. So, and he'll probably lose 4 to 5, just because he wants turnover on the roster. There are guys on there from years past who are not going to contribute, and he wants to be able to give those scholarships away next year.
Yeah.
So there's going to be turnover on this roster, and I don't know yet if it's, and probably not this year. This is probably this year to next year will probably be the change. But this year it's going to be guys who just can't compete, and then next year it's going to be guys who were competing, but they just realized these new guys, these young kids, are better than them walking in the door.
Yeah, yeah. And
because I think the biggest difference you see. Sorry, one more point. The biggest difference you'll see in a Marcus Freeman recruited class versus a Brian Kelly recruited class is these guys that Freeman gets are so much more ready to play up front than what we've seen in the past. There's not going to be a need of a 2 to 3 year development cycle.
Yeah.
Some of these kids can contribute earlier than what we've seen before.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you know what this is a part of, Pat, all of the articles, all the podcasts, all the YouTube videos, every offseason are, how many of them are titled How Notre Dame Closes the Gap? That's basically what you and I are discussing right now. How does Notre Dame close the gap? Well, the fastest way to do it is have younger guys that can compete right away. And then you're mixing that competition up right away. You're not segmented into, well, it's going to be 2 to 3 years before this guy gets on the field. You're permanently behind forever doing it that way, when all the top teams have plug and play guys, at least some of them.
Yeah. And exactly. And then you start to turn over the roster quicker because a guy who's a junior or a senior with a red shirt says, I'm never going to play. I got 2-3 years of eligibility left. I better go somewhere where I can do it. And then that frees up scholarship positions. It's no longer a recruiting game of you can only get 22, 23, 24 guys. He could bring in 30 guys. So if he's got 30 scholarships out there to give because guys transfer, he's going to bring in 30 guys. You're going to see Alabama style classes. You're never going to see the star rating of Alabama, but you're going to see the volume of Alabama, and you're going to see guys who are more ready to play. They're not developmental projects.
And I think you're right this is like a big deal year one, like calendar year one was talk of like the roster and the blending of the way Freeman wants to recruit and the guys that are going to come in then, and then what was already here with Kelly, and like that vision doesn't always line up. And there's some awkward to that, navigating that. And then I think this is like the final stage of shedding some of that part of the roster. And I don't mean to say it as a negative, but it's just like, it is what it is. And then after that, hopefully we get into more of these situations where there's more competition early. Seeing these wide receivers just run around in the clips and jump and flash and make plays, that right there energizes and raises the compete level across the whole offense. Just seeing that. Does it not? It does.
Right. And that's what I think just the biggest problem was that there was never a push. There was never a competition. And so people like the more I've thought about this and seen some of the videos that are coming out of practice and just kind of hear the coach speak that comes from Freeman, because it's still coach speak, but just to hear it's stopped. It's no longer about just trying to make this team better through practice, but it's trying to make this team better through bodies. And he has a plan. And that recruiting class, would you wanted those three guys? Would you wanted that quarterback, that end, and that safety? Absolutely would have wanted those three guys. If you could have had them, you would have taken them for sure. But at the end, that recruiting class wasn't about getting, those 3 5-star guys. It was about getting bodies in positions that can compete right away. And he has a plan. And he's sticking to his plan when it comes to recruiting. He's still got some improvements he's got to make when it comes to NIL. He can't lose out to that. But I think you're going to see, not tomorrow. We're not going to see it tomorrow. We're going to see it in the fall when all of the freshmen are on campus.
Yeah.
And when everybody acts, because that's where the competition is going to come from. That's where it's going to be guys who are new to it and they got chips on their shoulders and they want to flash and they're going to push. Like Benjamin Morrison, who heard of him? Who heard of him? That kid shows up on campus and he's a world beater within a week.
Yep.
And he's one of the best cover corners in college football after his first season. And so there's going to be more stories of that, especially with this recruiting class that's coming in, because there's more guys of that caliber. They're not the big 5-star guys. They don't have Keelan Keeley's name, but they have this skill set that you need. And so I just really think this roster has holes, but it's moving forward. And this year, like I don't think 11-1, 12-0 is possible. I think there's still a lot Freeman has to do from a coaching side. I don't like it the 2 L's, but I do think a 9-10 win season is possible. And you may look at like a 9-win season as a loss again. Not with this schedule. If you have a 9-win season and you beat either USC, Clemson, or Ohio State, and you give up a stupid one to Duke or North Carolina State or something like that, that's a successful season for me. With this schedule, this isn't where the hardest game you got to play is against Cincinnati at home and you blow it.
Yeah.
This is a tough schedule this year.
Yeah.
So I definitely think a 9-win season, a 9-3 team, that 10-4 or 10-3 after a bowl game, that's a very good season for Notre Dame.
Let's look at it this way. Freeman, the first 2 years of Freeman, this guy is having just about everything thrown at a new coach that could be. I'm talking major roster deficiencies and turnover that's needed and required. I'm talking legislative changes to recruiting and NIL and all that hitting on Freeman. Everything's changing. The playoff era is changing. He inherited a very shaky roster and 2 of the most brutal schedules in the last 15 years I can remember. Mm-hmm. Injuries at the most key positions when you can't afford it. In your first practice scrimmage game last year and then pretty much all last year in the regular season. Like, if there's any positive to this, it would be Freeman's getting hit over the head with just about everything the first 2 years. If he can emerge on the other side, he should have a lot of scar tissue and learning experience. It has not been smooth sailing, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I'm getting trolled now for my 9-3 comment. I agree. 9-3. I wouldn't be happy with that.
Yeah, I understand. But
I would be happy with 9-3 because of this.
But Pat, this is
to go 12-0.
But wait, this is just like Pat. I knew people were going to push back on you on that 9-3 and all that, but this is just like when people told me Freeman's a failure after last year because he inherited a top 5 team from Kelly and ran it into the ground. I got a million of those messages, and I was saying that roster had major red flags you knew were going to burn us before we kicked off to Ohio State. Anybody paying attention should have already known there was huge problems.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Kelly knew he didn't leave a top 5 roster. It's a part of why he was excited to leave his mess. There's no way you can tell me that was a top 5 roster. Not even close.
No way.
No way.
You can't blame Freeman. You can't blame Freeman because some moron who has no idea what the football program looks like has a vote in the USA Today poll or whatever. It's just so stupid. I hate rankings at the beginning of the season, anyways, because outside of like the select few, it rolls over so much. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I just want people to be realistic. Like, yes, I want Notre Dame to go 12-0. I want them to blow someone's doors off and throughout the playoffs and win the national championship. I want to be a 15-0 national champion, 14-0 national champion. That's what I want from Notre Dame. I want it every season. But here's the thing: they haven't shown they could beat USC. They haven't shown they can beat Ohio State. They've shown they could beat Clemson, but we don't know what's going to happen. And they laid eggs last year. They laid eggs, and so I'm not going to be 11-1. Here we go, because we got our quarterback. I mean, we don't even know how good this quarterback truly is, especially because he's going into a new system. And so it just drives me nuts at some of these predictions. Most of the predictions I see in your chat from your followers are based on feelings, not on fact. I will be on board with 12-0 when Notre Dame beats Ohio State, when Notre Dame beats USC. But we don't beat these teams. We don't beat Georgia when we play them. We don't beat these top-tier programs. We got blown out by Michigan a few years ago. Until you prove you can beat these teams, I'm not going to say you can go 12-0 because it's just ludicrous. I'm just shooting myself in the foot for no goddamn good reason.
Yeah.
So you got to base yourself in reality. One thing I saw.
Well, wait, we got this. Wait, we got that. We got a lot of that. 12-0, 11-1, 11-1, or whatever. And then on the back end, you got Uncle Luke telling me we're going 5-7 every year, when the reality is probably 10-2-ish, right in the middle.
Don't even get me started with Cousin. Don't even get me started with Cousin Luke. I don't know. Did he block me again? I can't tell.
I don't know, but he was the first one. Look, it already says Pat accepting failure. See, this is what happens, Pat. You go down this path. Now you're accepted failure from Notre Dame. You're a fake fan. Burn all your merch.
What does that mean? What does failure mean? If you're telling me that failure means you have to go 11-1 or 12-0 and make the playoffs, then you just don't have your priorities straight. I'm not accepting anything. I want to beat Ohio State. I want to beat USC. I want to be 11-1 and 12-0, but I don't accept failure. I accept reality. You haven't beat those teams. You haven't done it. So I'm not going to sit there and get all worked up like, oh, we're going to beat Ohio State. They're going to come here. No, that stadium's going to be freaking red. That we're going to hopefully we play a great game, but the chances are we'll probably lose because till this point, we haven't shown we can compete with that quality of team. And throughout, it doesn't matter if it's Marcus Freeman, because somebody says, well, then Marcus Freeman. Brian Kelly never did it. Dan Jagoff never did it. Matter of fact, every time he played those teams, he got his ass beat so bad, we were a laughing stock. Alabama did it. Clemson did it. Everybody did it. They all kicked their ass. I was at the Fiesta Bowl when Urban Meyer ran it down Brian Kelly's throat. I was there. I was at Texas when they played that shit-ass team in Texas, and Brian Van Gorder's burner cell phone gave up 56 points to a team that went 5-6 or 5-7. So I was there for that shit. I know what this team is capable of. I shouldn't say the team. I know what this program is capable of. I'm not accepting failure. I'm living in reality because I've been burned by this program too many goddamn times.
So, are you ready to drink a beer and relax tomorrow, Pat?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a good time tomorrow.
Good. Anything else?
Yeah, I'll have a good time tomorrow.
I got one final thing for you. I got one final thing for you.
I see you got Shepkowski in the chat.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that I used to work with his sister years ago.
Oh, really?
Becky at yeah, I worked with her years ago. This before she got married. So that should tell him how long ago.
Yep, good guy, fair guy, and Chicago guy. I love it. Working on Boers and Bernstein all those years. That's my favorite. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Terry Boers is like, I love that old man, that creepy old cranky man. I love him to this day.
I wasn't. I could deal with Boers. I was never a fan of Bernstein. Bernstein was kind of I had a little thing with him once.
Well, who hasn't? Who hasn't? Give me a break. Like, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, if you're listening, I think
history is not indicative of future outcomes.
Nick,
well, unfortunately, past history has been the reality that we live in. Every time we play a great team, the first time we played great teams last season was the first time we actually didn't get blown out. We didn't get blown out by Ohio State.
That's true.
We didn't get blown out by USC.
That's true. There's usually always one.
That's the only difference I'll give you.
Yeah, there's usually always one. All right, Pat, we're done here. Just be ready in the morning. We're going to have a good day. I'm not even going to go. Wait, actually, Pat, I have a bigger picture issue that I want to go over with you, but now isn't the time. I think you and I should break what I have going on next time. Break it down because it's something bigger picture, and we're going to have to think about it, okay? So we'll save that, and we'll do that because it's a bigger picture thing that's going to come into play. Today isn't the day for it because it'll change the direction. Remind me of that, and we'll do it.
Yep, sounds good.
Beautiful. All right, I'll see you tomorrow, man.
Yep, later, buddy.
Later. Pat gets worked up. What am I going to say? $5 holler from James. I mean, it's like, oh, John, I'm really surprised your friend would call in and then get all worked up. No, you're not. No one is surprised by that. In any way, nobody's surprised by that. Okay. Unbelievable. $4.99. That's a $5 holler to add to the beer fund. I'm open for a high scoring game, but at the same time, it would mean our defense is terrible. So I don't know what to expect. You know what that's called? That is called the classic blue and gold scrimmage issue. That's always the issue. If I see the defensive line getting pushed, then I'm convinced the offensive line must be terrible. And if I see our defense can't get any push, then I'm saying that they're terrible. So I don't know what to do. Right? So I don't know. It's one of those things where either way that I run it, I don't know if I could win. Oh, we got another. What is this? Let's see. I'm telling you what, man, you guys are generous. Look at this. Tailgate fund. Go Irish. Wish I could make it. That's a $50 holler from Brian. You know how much cheap, non-fancy beer a regular guy like me could get for $50? I appreciate you. We'll raise a cold one for you at the game tomorrow. Look at who's here. Look who we're bringing in, the managing editor of the Fighting Irish Wire. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, John? Happy Blue Gold weekend.
It is, it's exciting, Nick. I tell myself not to go crazy with it. It's just a scrimmage or whatever, but it's like the last touch of real football for a long time. I'm excited to be there, even in the weather.
Excited to be there. Well, I don't get to be there. It's, of course, the wife's birthday always falls on Blue Gold weekend. So it's like, I don't know. You have to do that part of things and play that part of the family, man, and kind of give that up. So that stinks for me. But, oh, well, cry me a river, I suppose. But, no, it's a dose. It's a taste of fall. It's a taste of everything that you've heard all the stories of, oh, my God, Tyler Buckner's playing his rear end off, and Hartman's struggling a little bit to adjust to a new offense. It's your one chance to get to see things kind of up close and get to see things for a change instead of just seeing little short YouTube clips or Twitter clips and Twitter videos that you get to see that the team tweets out there. It's like, okay, you actually get to kind of see something with your own eyes. And yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of running the ball, a lot of running clock, and not a ton of plays made. Last year, Darian Price burst onto the scene and had the long touchdown run. and it was a low-scoring game, and Jelly had the
got
game-winning
injured.
touchdown, and he was the
Probably
next
got
hero.
injured, Nick.
But you just take
Right.
it. It's our dose of football. It's what we get.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's plenty of storylines, everything going into this year. You can't help but get excited. Like if you can't get excited about this, if you can't get interest in this, then it's like, I hate to be that guy, but kind of just question your fan DNA a bit.
Yeah, well, and it would even be different if Notre Dame came in with like a 3-year established quarterback and that piece wasn't in the mix. Then I would understand, like, the biggest piece here, we know what it is. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of guys fighting for spots and playing time, and there's a lot of new with the coaching staff. It's Freeman's second year, but there's so many firsts. Like this blue and gold game is not lacking material. There's a lot to look at. My struggle is somebody who does this, and everybody here today, I'm going to have a hard time not overanalyzing what we see because it's like the only big piece we have. And then we're going to sit on it all summer and debate it. You know, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the taste that we get. That's the sight that we get to see. Otherwise, it's all reporting and here's some facts being shot out from someone to a reporter and that. But this is the actual thing that we get to see. So it's hard not to, I mean, grasp at it. Like, okay, yeah, we can all sit here calm, level-headed today of blow whatever Buckner does. We're going to overblow whatever anything happens. Nope, the defensive line, they're going to give up rushing yards, so we think that it's going to stink automatically because that was the storyline going in. Oh, the offensive line is going to be great because it's going to dominate our bad defensive line. It's only going to dominate more and more of that conversation. It's what we have. But listen, like, yes, we make too much out of it, but damn it, that's what makes it fun at the same time.
Exactly. Like I don't know, man. Let me ask you this. How legitimate do you feel this quarterback competition is truly wide open? Or do you feel like they know how they want it to go? Like, where do you fall on that dynamic? How much of that are you buying in that it's a true clean slate, open competition, somebody win it?
I mean, I think I know what they probably wanted when everything went down of like, hey, this is where the ceiling is for 2023. And they're probably not dumb enough to think that Hartman's just going to walk in and everything's going to be gravy. Like, I know you were in the conversation of great receivers earlier. Do receivers make quarterbacks? Do quarterbacks make receivers? I'm with you. It's quarterbacks make receivers more often than not. I mean, really until recent years, like Cooper Kupp, last year, 2 years ago, you weren't seeing like those elite receivers winning Super Bowls. Like, it's been a long damn time since an elite receiver was on a Super Bowl winning team. Not that the NFL and college are the same game, but I look at that and I kind of think like I have trouble. I think it's good news that it's still a competition, at least at this point. It means that Tyler Buckner has improved. It means that like he's obviously not going anywhere. I think it means better things for 2024, that it's not just a countdown to CJ Carr to get here. It's not that anymore. And what else is kind of exciting about it is that, yeah, like I think that Buckner he's showing to be, it seems to be that he's showing to be more of that guy that he was recruited as, not the one that's been barred by injuries and just bad luck for the last 3-4 years. So I kind of look at it and I think that they probably know, and I would still be really surprised if it's not Hartman. Actually did a piece on this earlier this week of just kind of weighing the pros, the cons of the quarterback controversy or competition going on and what happens when it weighs on. But I think that Marcus Freeman kind of made it clear the other day as well when he spoke and said that, hey, I know I got to make a decision and this isn't going to go into the season. Hell, we remember what happened last time that was a thing, 2016. I know that Van Gorder was a pile of garbage and rubbish, and you know that, but you can't tell me that the whole quarterback controversy going into week 1 at Texas didn't play into a good chunk of the team wanting Zaire and a good chunk of the team wanting Kaiser, and that ended up being a 4-8 squad that should have been a hell of a lot better. Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Hartman because you were the one who wanted to make this move. You looked into it, and then the guy you had the relationship with is now at Alabama, but he comes to Notre Dame, wants to have this good, a different offense to provide some NFL tape and get polished up for that. If you end up not getting this starting job, that is a huge personal embarrassment. Like, I don't know any other way to take it other than I'd be humiliated that I made this boss move and then I didn't even get the job. Where would that leave him? It's very awkward to me on an interpersonal and practical level. And then I wonder, does that enter into Freeman and the staff's mind frame at all of like how they set this up and some of those conversations? But maybe they weren't counting a Buckner balling out. Maybe it's his time. Like, I just don't know where that's all at behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, I don't know where it's at behind the scenes, but you think about it and you tell Sam Hartman, okay, yeah, come to Notre Dame. I don't think you have to guarantee a starting spot. I don't think you have to recruit and say that, yeah, you're 100% going to be our starter. I think his track record says that, hey, you're established. You're one of the 2 or 3 most productive quarterbacks in the history of the ACC. You're right up there in Phillip Rivers category in that conversation. And that kind of speaks for itself of like, okay, come out and do it with more talent theoretically at wide receiver, an offense that's going to look more like what you want to play in the pros. And yeah, there'll be competition. The depth chart and quarterback at Notre Dame is going to be more competitive than it was at Wake Forest. Surprise, surprise. But I think the assumption by not just Hartman probably, but everyone was that, yeah, there might not be a guarantee made here, but we know what's going to happen. Like Hartman's going to probably take a little bit of time to catch on. Now you learn how to throw to new receivers, learn a new offense for him that's not just based on, the mesh routes that Wake Forest runs like all hell. And so there is a little bit of a learning curve to that. But I think that ultimately everyone's looking at who has the highest ceiling for 2023 to be able to, because let's face it, the way the schedule sets up, yeah, you never like the first road game, and North Carolina State scares you a little bit for that being, but it sets up to be undefeated going into the Ohio State game. Who gives you the best chance right now that you can groom for the first 3 weeks of the year so you're ready, all guns firing for what could be the biggest home win since 1993? Theoretically. Yeah. Like this would be bigger than beating Clemson in 2020. This would be bigger than beating Clemson last year. This would be bigger than beating really anyone since Florida State in 1993. Like that would be the biggest home win in a long damn time. Who gives you the best chance to be able to do that? Okay, Braith seems to be there. Hopefully his health stays the same because that's obviously been the thing that's held him back for a number of years now. But what is it going to be with Hartman? Where does he need to be so that fall camp starts and you start, instead of it just being learning the offense, but like grasping the offense and thriving with the offense and he has this part of the young as well.
Yeah. And the other thing is, here's what I've been thinking about when I ask myself, when I look at this team, especially offensively, last year was a struggle bus beginning to end. Quarterback room, nowhere close to nationally competitive. Wide receiver room, definitely nowhere close near competitive. I feel like both of those rooms are in almost a total flip position where I expect both of them to be deeper and have potential that's like real world that we're interested in. And I do credit the staff for that. They identified the same problems we did in 1 year. I feel better about both those units that I thought were really, really holding us back. And that is encouraging to me. There is competition there. These early enrollees are not tiptoeing around like, I don't know what to do here. They're going out there and making plays. It's exactly what you want to see as a Notre Dame guy. Did you freeze up on me?
You could receiver, and when's the last time that it was recruited this well? Yeah, but when's the last time the receiver was talented or well? You're talking the Weiss era, Michael Floyd, when he was bringing in Golden Tate, T.J. Jones, who had a very good Notre Dame career that I think kind of gets forgotten about a little bit there. But he was a Weiss guy as well originally. And it's been a long damn time since they've recruited the position as well. Not to say there hasn't been guys. Will Fuller was a guy that ended up being a first-round pick and could run by anyone. But you haven't had a number of these kind of guys. You've had guys at the position, and you have some upperclassmen are that kind of that right now. What do you make of Styles? Do you think Styles is ultimately, you think he's full go for corner and out of the competition at wide receiver for good? Or what do you make of this?
This whole thing.
It's like the cheap version of Chris Gamble.
But the whole thing came was kind of weird. Like, number one is I never thought it was a physical issue last year. He had trouble kind of engaging mentally and seemed to me of what you need to be doing out
drops.
there.
Yeah, the drops that didn't seem like they got any better.
Right. And so I saw some of that being like more of a mental thing than anything physical. It almost reminded me of like Golson and Wimbush, where it kind of like physically I knew they could do more, but they got messed up in their minds. So I felt that he was struggling kind of mentally focusing on things. And then I hear he asked to be placed over on defense, which is interesting. That's different to me than the coaches pulling a guy over and going, hey, we got a lot of young guys flying around on offense. Maybe you would be. But the fact that they said he requested it's interesting to me. Then he comes out to the media and says, I could do it all. I could play on offense. I could play on defense, and I could be great at both. And a part of me wonders, like, buddy, we need to maybe just find one thing for you to be really, really good at. Now you're worried about both? Or does it look like now he's moved to defense and that's it? We're done. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
because he's playing defense in this game.
Is this him looking at his future of football beyond Notre Dame? Is this him looking at how do I get to play football on Sundays? And it doesn't seem like, okay, I might take steps as a receiver, but I'm probably not going to be at least the trajectory that he's on right now. Doesn't seem like he's going to be anything of maybe a late round pick, if that, but he doesn't seem like he's turned into one of those guys. Is this him simply looking at and going to the coaching staff and thinking like, hey, I want to hear my name called in the NFL draft in a couple of years, and it's not going to happen if I stay at receiver. You got young guys coming in that are fresh as hell and talented as all get up, and in Greathouse and Flores and that Merriweather's development that hopefully takes a huge stride this season.
And more guys coming in 24 behind them too.
Right. Yeah, Cam Williams. We're gonna have to spend a Friday night in the Chicago Burbs checking out his action a little bit. Too close not to. But yeah, I wonder about that part of it. Is it as simple as that? Of him thinking, all right, I want to play on Sundays. I got a little brother at Ohio State that's probably going to be playing on Sundays one day. How do I get there? What's the best path to get there? Is it at cornerback? I mean, what I kept thinking of as soon as I saw those reports come out of like, oh my God, Styles is switching to defense. He's playing cornerback. All I could think about was the NCAA video game that we probably played way too religiously when we were 15, 16 years old. And Lee Corso, whenever a cornerback or a defensive back would drop a ball, that's part of the reason he's on defense is because he can't catch the ball. And it's like, hate to bash the kid, but like that was a lot of the thing with Styles last year was that you throw it his way, you didn't trust it was coming down with it.
Yeah. Now, if you go on defense and you don't catch it, it's still a good play. It's an incompletion, so you can drop it all you want. And the other thing is, this could end up genuinely benefiting everybody beautifully because Notre Dame's secondary our whole lives has always never had enough depth. You might have a star here, you might have a Hamilton here, a Julian Love there, but never enough of them all at the same time to where it's all locked down. If this works out that way, and here's what I think is the impetus to this. Seeing those freshman receivers flying around, I think has a lot of those other older guys going, oh, wait a second here. And kind of like what Pat was talking about before you see them guys jumping and flying around and making them catches. I think it makes everybody else look around and go, oh, shit, I really got to crank it up here because these guys aren't messing around. The times have changed. You don't just get to walk out there, roll your helmet out, and you're the starter. This is what it should look like. Younger guys that can compete for real, meaningful snaps early. That's how Notre Dame closes the gap. Finding more players like that on both sides, and I love it.
Well, I'm with you entirely. I mean, I think that iron sharpens iron. I think that's part of the good thing of this quarterback competition, even though I don't buy in that it's necessarily – listen, I fully think that it's going to be Hartman's job here. And I think it's great that Buckner has shown what he's shown. But I love that a receiver, like you're trying to up a room that was just left in shambles when Del Alexander was shown the door a year and a half ago at this point. Like, it wasn't all that long ago. And you look at that, the way the receiver group looks now versus then and the outlook for it, you're like, holy flipping God, like what happened here? It's a 180. because you brought in Merriweather in the last recruit. Freeman's first class, but it doesn't even count as Freeman's class. I mean, he had not even a month to put it all together when he was a head coach. So you look at that and the way things have turned, and like Stuckey, man, that is a star in the making as an assistant coach, and hopefully he doesn't follow the line of another star wide receiver coach in the Midwest and get on an ATV at 1:20 in the morning. But no, there's an unnecessarily shot at Ohio State for no good reason. But no, it's like you just look at the way that the position's been recruited, the way things have been done differently. I think it speaks to when you take all big picture and all account into everything. And one of the huge stories, obviously, this offseason has been new coach hire here, new assistant coach hire there, guys leaving for the pros, Harry up and retire in 10 minutes before kickoff of the Super Bowl. What the hell is Notre Dame going to do? What Marcus Freeman has shown you so far, and I get it, like the track record's not long, but what it has shown you is that, wow, one of the very biggest things that a head coach can do well is hire and find assistants. And so far, I mean, you look at the promotions that his assistants got after 1 year, and seemingly like what he's been able to bring in, you feel good about the position coaches that he's brought in this offseason. You're thinking that, okay, well, that's of a really damn healthy program when you're attracting talent and you're able to bring in assistant coaches like Freeman's been able to seemingly do so far. And I think that Stuckey has star written all over him. What he's done in very short order and what he's done going forward here.
I just worry we're going to lose him to the NFL after this year. So get whatever you could get out of it, the development and recruiting. But I'm already bracing for that because it seemed like it was a close call already this last cycle. So I don't know about that. All right. I got to ask this as the glass half empty Notre Dame guy. I feel like I have to ask this. Is it possible that we are overexcited about the wide receiver room because almost anything would seem electric to what we're used to? And seeing those freshmen jump up and running all over, and we're not used to that. Is it possible we're way overboard on that excitement level of what they could actually contribute year one just because we're used to almost near no production? Or do you think these guys legitimately, these young guys could play next year and contribute? Not garbage time. Rico Flores out there making moves. Like, I just ask myself that.
I think you have to look at it as you can't just count on all the freshmen to make all the moves and all the plays right away. You have to look at the entire position group. And I think that starts with like the development of Jaden Thomas last year. It was all about Colsey. It was all about Styles and who's going to emerge as a star. And by the end of the year, Thomas was your best receiver. That was your best. I mean, obviously Mayer is his own thing, and as a tight end, it's a little bit different. But your best actual receiver was Jaden Thomas. And so it kind of starts right there of what development is he able to take and take a little bit of that load off of. It's not that, like, listen, Notre Dame wasn't win the championship in '88 without Rocket coming in as a freshman and doing what he did. Some huge plays throughout the year, massive play, obviously, against Miami that shifted a tide in that game and set them up for a touchdown in that one. But you can't count on freshmen to be the ones that come out and bail you out all the time. Here and there, yes. So it needs to be another step for Thomas this offseason. It needs to be Merriweather going from, okay, well, he had flashes in the Stanford game and you heard a lot about him, and he runs really fast and he has a couple of highlights in practice that we see. It needs to be him turning into a viable option and being able to be somebody that can take advantage of Hartman, being able to push the ball down the field, unlike a Notre Dame quarterback we've seen in years now. I mean, since at least Kaiser, but you're probably talking more realistically since Jimmy Clausen, that you've seen a quarterback to be able to do some of the things that you're going to be able to see Hartman do down the field. So I think that it's in the right spots they can be. But if you're going to be counting on them to just step in and be like a football version of the Fab Five, taking over the receiver position and being freshmen all over the place, I think you've got another thing coming. But I think in spots, in the right places, they can be put in positions to succeed and really show off the athleticism, the speed that seems to be there.
Yeah. And you know what I think would be really nice for that group? If one of those second year, like Colsey or Merriweather, if one of them could, or if it's Thomas or whatever, if one of them turns into like an established number, like, it's your dude, you know what I mean? Like it's a Michael Floyd type where like, that's your dude in that group. And like, that's kind of the leader in production or attention. I just would like if one of those guys emerged, and I felt like I had one of them guys kind of a little bit above, kind of the leader of that group. And there's opportunity abound. Like that's the thing. There is opportunity. If you're going to go make plays, Freeman's going to let you play. And I really, really like that. Can we switch over to the defensive side of the ball? Like I want to think about.
Man, do we have to? Yes, we can, because it needs to be addressed.
I have some defensive anxiety, Nick. I just do. I'm worried we're a little light up front. The linebackers concerned me a lot of the times last year. And in the secondary, we have our perpetual questions. I feel like in my gut, the offense might take a big jump forward, but I'm worried the defense might step back a little bit. Talk me out of that. Tell me that it's going to be fine. I just have anxiety. We lost a lot of production, man. I'm wound tight.
Yeah, no, I mean, you lose the Adam and Lola twins. You lose both of them. Obviously, the all-time leader in sacks goes to the NFL and Foskey. Yeah, your defensive line takes a significant hit, and this is a team that's been on their defensive line for years. You look at what Mike Elston was able to do. Maybe it wasn't playing at the level of Alabama and Georgia's defensive lines, but it was really stinking good, turning guys into the pros year after year after year. And now that depth certainly takes a hit. I'm interested to see like what someone like the upperclassmen. I mean, you heard a lot of reports this year that Jason Onye had a really good spring. I'm interested to see like Riley Mills, what he can do, and more is going to be asked of him this season. But yeah, I'm with you, especially. I think it all starts up front. The way this team is built, has been built, will continue to be built. It starts with the defensive line. I mean, it's complicated as we make football out to be. It's really not that hard of a game still. It's, do you control the middle of the field? Do you control the line of scrimmage on the offensive side, on the defensive side? Okay, you do. You're probably going to win the game. Oh, you don't? Well, you're probably not going to win the game. It needs to be addressed, and it all starts up there. I mean, the linebackers, which are another story, if you have a lot of young talent there, but it's kind of unmolded and ungelled so far, you don't necessarily know what's there for putting together a team for 2023, but you know that there's talent, there's skill at those positions. And defensive backs, yeah, you have your star in Morrison, and you have a lot of questions, especially on the back end. You need safety help. You got any eligibility left? Because I have real questions of weapons at safety, especially with now. But I mean, ultimately, it all starts up front, and you take those hits. So I look at
safety.
It needs to be your upperclassmen taking a step and change things.
Safety. You bring up safety, and then right away I get irritated because I'm looking at what we're working with, and then in my mind I'm thinking, well, if the Bowen thing would have worked out, there's a safety right there playing right away. In my opinion, he'd be playing right away. And then beyond that, you should have Hillman as another guy that could be physical, and then you have that coming in. Those things fall through, and now Notre Dame's in a bad spot again, and it's like, you're Notre Dame. You're allegedly a top 10 program. Like, you can't always just move offensive players over to play defense. Like, come on, and then the defensive front, 4 out of your 6 top tacklers from last year are gone, and over half of the sack production. That's just a lot to replace. And it's like, hey, Riley Mills, Howard Cross, we are going to be leaning on you this year. I'm not even sure I trust that, let alone one of them guys twists an ankle. Like, that's where my mind goes. Howard Cross had 33 tackles. That's the leading guy coming back on that defensive front. So I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I am saying that my air's falling out till I see that it's good against Ohio State. Like, me having anxiety about it doesn't mean I'm saying it's going to be bad. But when I don't have proven production, I'm going to worry. And it isn't just the front line. It's the depth, too, for this year.
Yeah, no, it feels like a huge year for Al Washington. You look at it and how things were just a couple of short years ago with the defensive line, and you thought that was as stable as probably any position on the team outside of maybe tight end. Talent that they was being brought in, developed, and turned out into the pros. Like they had a great thing going, and that is it all. Mike Elston's a great assistant coach. Okay, some of it's that, but some of it I also think was all right. Position wasn't recruited quite as well in recent years, and I think that's showing a little bit. And the development, obviously, it needs to be there. It's a big time show me year for Al Washington and that entire group because, like you said, the production, it's not returning. Okay, Howard Cross and Riley Mills, that's about it. Jean Baptiste from Ohio State coming in, like that's okay. That's a rotation guy. It's not necessarily a game changer that you're going to have playing on a defensive front. So I look at it and it's all right. There's reason for concern. It's kind of a show me type of year for I think Washington, that entire group, because it all starts up front, like I said, and I don't feel particularly good about that right now. I'm with you. I'm fully on board with you on that. It being a concern, and I mean, an Achilles heel of this defense. That's been so strong for so long, and if it's not there, oh boy, it's going to be a lot of 42-38 shootouts and Charlie Weiss type 2008, 2009 type games.
Nick, this would be so damn Notre Dame-y that we would get, just follow me here. This is the most Notre Dame track. This is why my hair's falling out. All these years we begged for like a real modern offense that can run it and pass it, keep a defense honest. We might finally get that, and then the defense will regress, and then we're like treading water, but for different reasons. The offense gets way better, but then the defense starts giving up chunks and getting ran on all the time. Like, I can't have that. We need to have everything trending in the right direction. Everything.
I know it. It's like we can't have all nice things at once. It's like here's a quarterback that's more accomplished and brought more to the table than any quarterback you've had in quite some time. And all right, your offensive line's taking strides, and your running back room, you might not have that one game breaker, but you have a room that's as deep as it's been in quite some time. And here's a receiver room's taking off, and all right, you have a star quarterback that has an All-American written all over him, and you recruited the hell out of the linebacker spot the last few years. And, hey, well, it all might not matter if your defensive line sucks. And that's kind of a legit concern right now, a fear at least.
It is. And here's the thing. Notre Dame, with the talent they have, is going to be able to win a lot of games, even if that is an issue, because their talent, I think, can out-talent nine teams on the schedule, probably 8 or 9 at least. But where this is going to show is in those big three that are the biggest deal to all of us. That's where it's going to show. I know Ohio State can throw the ball around. They're coming in there with the young quarterback. Don't think they're not going to think if we could just run it on them, we could take a lot of stress off our young quarterback. You got to be able to hold up.
Well, that's what happened last year. They had a Heisman candidate quarterback, and then how did they end up winning that game? They pounded the ball down Notre Dame's throat in the second half. Notre Dame couldn't stop the damn nosebleed in the second half. It was run. They didn't have to throw.
Yeah, it's up the middle are my issues both ways here. The only way I don't see the offense taking a big jump is if the interior Notre Dame offensive line isn't as strong as I need it to be. Everybody loves the twin towers of tackle terror, but if you're getting pinched in the middle.
A lot of alliteration. My goodness.
You like that? I'm full of those.
Crap.
Yeah, I know.
Grade English teacher is impressed.
I've said that one a few times. But if you're getting pinched in there, what good does it do me to have these great tackles if you're going to get pinched and pushed in the middle? So on offense, I'm worried right up the middle. And on defense, I'm worried right up the middle. And when I think about football, those are the two most important parts to make sure you're stable in, right up the gut. They got a lot to prove, and I need to see it. We're going to worry about it all summer.
Yeah, no, it's like I said earlier. I mean, football, it's as much as we make, spread off and fast pace, hurry up that. Everything's changing. With that, the other. It's just like on the board, you control the middle of the field, you control a game. And that's ultimately what Notre Dame has in front of them. And they, unfortunately, that's where some of their biggest question marks are right now as we sit on April 21st just 24-hour, 26 hours, 28 hours before the blue gold game kicks.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a lot of year two's a big year. Year 3 at Notre Dame, your history more than most. A lot of coaches that end up succeeding at an elite level at Notre Dame, year 3 is a golden window for whatever reason that seemed to historically apply. And it looked like it would be for Kelly for a long time until it wasn't, and it really wasn't. So you have that. Year 3 also lines up with the new playoff era. So Notre Dame wants to get right to position themselves right for that new format, which is great. But for Freeman, man, it is year 2. He's got a lot of work to do and a lot to prove. This year is such a critical pivot point for what we could get done this year and for what's coming in the future. It is a big year and a tough schedule. They got to make every game count. There are no freebies this year. It's got to be a good year or this is going to get real dicey.
Yeah, it's year 3 is obviously, I don't know. You look at year 3, there's a little bit of relief on the way because it's not Clemson, USC, and Ohio State. It's Texas A&M, which, okay, yeah, they recruit as well as damn near anyone, buy as anyone. With that here, schedule gets a little relief next year, but it is a huge year. About it, is 9-3 acceptable if you lose the big 3 games? Is 3 acceptable if you beat USC but you follow Ohio State in at Clemson and then drop another one of those stupid Stanford Marshall games? I look at it and you got to win one of the big 3, and you got to reestablish the way you're supposed to win. 10-2 on this. That's what I'm looking at is, do I think that they can do it? I think Notre Dame has enough talent to. As much as I just sat here and, okay, I got concerns on the defensive line, I got concerns in the interior, got concerns of if you count too much on the outside. There are reasons to be concerned of things and things that might have them being a national championship contender, but plenty of reason to be a top 10 team, I feel. And having the capability to beat one of Ohio State or USC at home, being able to go on the road and compete and be in the game at Clemson. Those are my expectations. There's a fear of the excuses or whatever you want to call it. They get pushed away. The Marshall game was a weird happening where, Buckner stays healthy in that game. They weren't winning it anyway. It was ugly. It was a barrage of comedy of errors and all of that. But the Stanford thing was just flat out unacceptable. I don't care if Drew Pine was your quarterback. I don't care if freaking Nate Montana came back from wherever the hell he's at right now. Quarterback. That was unacceptable. Tommy Reese going full Tommy Reese, and you never go full Tommy Reese. But just getting too cute, too ridiculous all right, you're starting to establish the line of scrimmage. You're starting to pound away. Let's run a freaking reverse and all this crap and flea flicker BS and all the other issues that happened offensively in that game. So that's unacceptable to me. You have to establish, I look at, is 9-3 the end of the world if you lose the big 3? No, I don't think it's the end of the world. But is 9-3? I don't know. I feel like you got to win 10 games this regular season. I really
see 9-3. I think
that's 9-3. You start to build off of that. You put it. You put a 10-2 out there this year.
Think about
I think you put a 10-2 out there this year. You go into next year, you're a top 5 team. You have I don't want to say an easy schedule. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Easier
but
than
it's
these
relief a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you have 9-3, man.
At A&M, at USC, and I don't know. I just think you set yourself up for that huge year, like you a little bit ago.
Think about 9-3 and all the routes to 9-3 and what they mean. Think about 9-3, but you lose the big 3. On one hand, that means you didn't lose to any dumb teams this year, which would be an improvement. And on the other hand, 9-3 losing the big 3 means you regressed and didn't win any of the big 3, and nobody's going to like that either. That's the problem with 9-3 any way you cut it.
The big 3 and you lose the second year. and then you lose the second year in a row to USC. Like, if there's one game this year that Notre Dame absolutely 100%, it's State and whatever. You can't have those losses. But, like, of the big three, you pick one of those games to win. To me, at 100%, no questions asked, no ifs, buts, ors about it, it has to be USC. Like, you cannot lose to that program a second year in a row on your home field. Like Ohio State, okay, that's established as a program. They're one of the top 3 or 4 in the entire country, and they have been for some time. Do you want to lose them? Oh, F no, you don't. But it's understandable if you do. You just dominated USC for the most part of the Kelly era. And you come in and it's you drop USC on your home turf in their final year in the Pac-12, and before college football's landscape really changes for the foreseeable future. And it's just like, you absolutely cannot lose that game. 10 times out of 10, that's the one I'm picking. You of the big three, you have to win. Like, I don't want to say excuses, but there's justifiable reasons for the other ones. There's no reason you can walk out and have an 0-2 start as Freeman to USC after you both had coaching changes and the both overhauls of programs that both are going through right now.
Yep. I do see the argument being made when I posed this question, if you could only have one win, Ohio State or USC. A lot of people have told me it would be Ohio State. Not that it's just bigger on name, but in this schedule, it being the first of the big three sets up what the rest of the year looks like. And so a lot of people are using that kind of tipping point as a reason to say Ohio State. I'm an old guy. I think old Notre Dame and USC means too much to me existentially. And I don't like the dynamic that these guys both got the head jobs here at the same year. They're going to be linked together forever, being younger guys that have these jobs in that year. And you lost the one last year. The guy painted his fingernails, did everything to you. You handed him the Heisman on a silver platter. You can't lose it at home. You can't lose it at home. You got to find a way. I don't care if they got 90 new guys from the portal or not. Find a way to win that game.
Yeah, win. I agree with everyone that's saying, oh, yeah, you beat Ohio State. It lays the foundation for the rest of the year. But if you're saying you're only going to win one of the three, I'm picking USC for what it means, kind of big picture in the outlook of the program. Like, yeah, I'll gladly take a win over Ohio State and upset over them where Saturday night in mid-September, and it's setting the way for Notre Dame to go 11-1, 12-0, and cruise through the regular season. That wasn't what the question was. Like, yeah, I'll answer the question by not answering the question. Yeah, great. Like, I'll take a win over Ohio State, setting the groundwork for a great year and a 12-0 regular season too. But that wasn't what we asked.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's three across the room.
What are you doing? What did you just throw your laptop across the room?
I knocked the computer off the table. I knocked the computer off the table. I'm sorry.
Hey, what do you have, Nick? Do you have Wi-Fi from 1993 where it's a cord you plug in or what? What are you doing there, Captain Pixel?
Yeah, you have I don't know. I use a hotspot, and I don't know. It's been struggling, huh? It's been lagging pretty bad. That's
your hotspot's cold.
I don't think it's the Wi-Fi as much as it's the computer.
Hey, your hotspot's as hot as I'm going to be tomorrow in the parking lot, buddy.
Yeah, well, maybe I should feed it a couple of beers and warm it up a little. I think the hotspot's fine. I think it's the computer that I'm working with this 2015 technology, and it's time for me to upgrade the game a little bit.
Just threw it on the ground, so that makes sense.
Well, I'm like Tom Brady over here working with this stupid. I don't like what's coming across from me, so I'm just slamming it on the ground and getting pissed off at it. But yeah,
I like that. Anything else, Nick, that we didn't? Anything else we didn't cover for this weekend you want to hit?
I mean, just the excitement of it all. Like, it's spring, hope springs eternal, and like that's what it is. It's excitement. It's a countdown after this. Then it's all right, all hands on deck, and we're counting down the days until the end of August when Notre Dame and Navy kick things off. And I don't know, the off season just is as great as it is. Okay, we have baseball back, and summer's coming, and I know your Sox are struggling, and I'm so sorry to see that. But like, just the excitement that comes with things of like, all right, once it hits, like football season goes so damn fast. And it's like so much of it's this build up, and then you blink and it's like, God damn it, it's the middle of October, and son of a bitch, we only got 2 weeks left in November, and then it's bowl game, and then it's this huge, massive offseason. Like, I wish I could be there tomorrow. Everyone that's going, enjoy it. Raise some pints in the glass, or raise some pints in the sky for me. I will be there, and I'll be watching on our good friend Peacock.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully you don't get any lag on the app there either. You're going to see a spinning wheel, Nick. You're going to see a spinning wheel. It's coming, baby. You'll get it.
Lighten up the feathers on the Peacock back and forth, waiting to load the damn thing. That's what I'll be getting.
Oh, man. Nothing's easy. But
never. Can't be. We're Notre Dame fans. It can't be. Never the easy way. Always the hard way.
Yeah, never an easy way. Just like yesterday, I was trying to figure out where we're going to park and get there early to make sure we have a good spot. And then I have a plan. And then I get a text at like 6:30 this morning. You do realize the parking and there's construction and it's all messed up. It's just always something over there, man. It's always something. But we're going to have a good time. I'm drinking beer for breakfast. I'm just happy to be there, happy to see everybody. And we're going to represent, and we're going to hopefully see some exciting football. I don't know.
Well, and that's part of it too, is like as exciting as the football is, exciting as, I mean, it's back and you have something to analyze. You have actual action to analyze. That part's great, but I think you touched on it of like, it's not, you've said it before. I think pretty much every Notre Dame fan said it before, is that it's not better. It's not worse. It's just different. And tomorrow, everyone that gets to participate, it's rekindling those relationships. It's seeing faces you haven't seen since last fall. It's talking to people that have gone and disappeared from your life for the last 6 months. And hey, they're back in the picture again, and hey, welcome back to it. And no, it's
a question popped up for you, Nick. I got one more question for you, and it's actually a very good one. Pat, the one who knows your sister, he said, great question for Nick, is how did he like working on the score with all of the ND hating hosts? And there were many, Nick, and it was very obvious when you were on that radio station who they were, and they took shots at us whenever they could.
Well, there's only one that wasn't. Haw's the only guy that ever supported Notre Dame in any way. Hanley, when Hanley was there, Hanley would, I don't want to say carry the flag. He was a reporter, but I think he gave a fair and honest evaluation of it. But outside of that, that's all it was. And I will say, like, I mean, it was hard. It was frustrating at times because it's like, okay, you just piling on just to pile on, and it's easy to pile on too. It's the Yankees, it's the Lakers, it's whatever comparison sports you want to make it to be, and I do that to other teams as well. So I'm just as guilty of it in other aspects of, I guess, my sports life. But yeah, it was frustrating oftentimes. Of like, okay, yep. I will say, like with Bernstein had a severe dislike for Brian Kelly right away. And since Kelly's departed and gone to LSU, I think Bernstein, when I've heard him speak anything Notre Dame-wise, has been more than fair for Marcus Freeman in this era, this tenure of Notre Dame football. But yeah, it was definitely like a weird world of like, it was me, it was Jay Zawoski, and it was a whole lot of other people that did not like Notre Dame any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you know who else too? Haw does that. He blocked me. I think he's got the ball. Haw's got the Ball State, Indiana inferiority complex going on because
I've always thought Haw's been fair with Notre Dame on it. I've always thought Haw's been pretty fair with things.
I got into it with him one time over something, and then he blocked me. So I don't know.
I mean, he got his start. One of his first professional jobs was at the Tribune in South Bend. I know he was.
He didn't like something
that back in the early 90s, was on that beat. God, the end of the Holtz era. I don't know until what year, but I've always thought, I don't know. I've had a good relationship with David, so I'll say good things about him, obviously. But yeah, there's plenty of them that just anything Notre Dame does is wrong. Why? Well, because it's Notre Dame, it has to be wrong. There's no other way about it, and it's like looking at the world through the lens of a straw.
Yeah. And you know what else, Nick? Big picture with Chicago radio, and it's always frustrated me. It is a pro town. Like, they only talk about college sports if you absolutely cannot avoid a story it ends up on the air. Like at least they do one hit a week, bringing in a college football guy, looking at the upcoming games or whatever. But man, it felt like you had to have a story you couldn't ignore to get college sports on the air, other than March Madness, basically. And unique to Chicago, I think, that the pro sports is such a big deal, and you just didn't get any juice. It was rare.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think what years. Like 2012, Notre Dame's in the middle of their 12-0 regular season. You had a Bears team that dominated headlines because they started off red hot. If you remember that, it was Lovie Smith's last year. They started off red hot, and then what happens? They let the division get away. They let a playoff spot get away the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season. They end up sitting at home. Lovie gets fired, and that dominated the headlines. So you have a team that's 75 miles, 77 miles down the street playing in a national championship, and the headlines are, well, who's going to be the next Bears head coach? Let's get the folder out and look at the candidates of who it's going to be and who's going to be the next Bears coach. And that's going to dominate the storylines. And then it turns into the draft. And so it's always kind of like, even when a team, whether it's like Illinois basketball, when they went on their run in 2005, it was like they had to go damn near unbeaten for the regular season, playing the national championship to get a little bit of talk about them. And it is a pro sports town. And I don't know, I haven't spent enough time listening to New York and LA sports radio, Houston, same kind of thing. But when you look at those absolutely massive markets, I tend to think it's probably the same thing. You go out to San Francisco, are people talking about Stanford or Cal Berkeley? Hell no. Even USC, like in LA, are people worried about USC football? No, they're not worried about it until it's the last week of the year and they're playing for a college football playoff spot. That's when their fans start to show up. That's a Dodgers town. That's a Lakers town. What they do is what matters. The NFL teams that are now there, that's what matters. In New York, I mean, I have trouble believing that it's St. John's basketball or any of that. It's, well, what are the Jets going to do to F up their draft this year? What are the Giants going to do to take a next step and maybe be a contender in the NFC? I just tend to think that that's very much a big market thing in Chicago, certainly that, because, like, I don't know. I've spent time listening to Detroit sports radio because I think it's entertaining at times. They get a lot of talk of Michigan State and Michigan there. And maybe it's because there's two, then there's such.
Who do you listen to? Is it Mikey? Because Mikey's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I will. I promise you, that's a hate listen of like, all right, Michigan State, but mess something up. I cannot wait to hear it. Old Mikey.
No, and you know what? You know what I love about Valenti too? You know what's good about Valenti is he's a guy
who doesn't try to hide his fandom. I like that.
But
I went to Michigan State. I'm a Michigan State guy. Yeah. I'm a fan. This means something to me. I'm passionate about it. Cool. Yeah. Like, I wish more people would embrace that and trying to put on their journalistic hat all the time, 24/7. And I don't want to show my emotion of things that I was ticked off or I was really excited about it because that takes away my journalistic integrity. Well, guess what? You might have journalistic integrity. You have zero entertainment factor when you do it.
Yeah, no, Valenti.
That's not that I love it. It's not a shot at anyone directly. That's just there's a lot of people that do that, and I think that they turn into be people that are pretty boring to listen to.
I feel like Mike is the type of guy that probably could have parlayed his personality into some sort of national radio scene or something. I like the idea that he wants to be in that market, stirring up the Michigan people for a career, doing it every day, and he just kind of runs his own thing.
A Michigan troll will always win over. Yeah, a Michigan troll will always win over my heart. I mean, he tried to get out. He tried to take Francesca's job when Mikey retired at the Fan in New York, and he went in for his trial during All-Star Week that summer, and he started his show after the baseball All-Star game by saying, "I didn't watch the game last night," and I think that was kind of it for old Mikey's attempt to make the move to New York, because I don't think that sat too well. Of, hey, what's your big take? What's your big takeaway? Well, I refuse to watch the All-Star game. Oh, there's kind of nothing else going on and kind of important. You probably did that. So,
but that's him, though.
Thanks for taking the flight. He's true to himself.
I just love having a guy with that microphone in the cherries in, giving it to Michigan people whenever he can. I love that. I love Valenti. He's a gem. Ever since the Make Plays rant in 06, he's been on my radar ever since that Scream Fest in 06. I love that guy.
Bucker. We got to take a break. Shut up. I got to get this off my chest.
I just love him.
He compares the rainstorm to Hurricane Katrina 6 months after, a year, not even a couple months after or I guess it was a year after, but he compares the rainstorm in that game to Hurricane Katrina. It's like, Jesus, man, take a breath. Like,
But it was just
I'm
raw
passionate too,
and
but
real.
goddamn.
Just so raw and so real. And that's the only way I know how to be. And so I love how that guy is, man. He's amazing. Anything else, Nick? I don't want to take up your whole morning.
I told you, I was having fun. This was a good time. No, I mean, just like I said, like, enjoy the hell out of it. Wish I could be there tomorrow. Raise a pint in the sky, and I don't know, go Irish, beat Irish. What do you say?
I was gonna say, go Irish,
go blue, beat gold, go. Just no one get hurt. How about that? No one freaking get hurt.
That's what I was gonna say.
And be like, hey, guess what? The injury report, somebody's got a little bit of a bruise and a little bit of a cut. There's nothing serious. Let's not be losing a quarterback to falling down a flight of stairs, or a running back to blowing an Achilles or anything like that. Like that's what I'm rooting for, because I know that, especially if the weather's like it is today, it's going to be a lot of running the ball and probably not a whole lot of highlight plays, and we'll overanalyze all of it because that's what we do, and that's fine. That's dandy, but just stay freaking healthy. Please, 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 please stay healthy.
Yep. That'd be a big deal. All right, let's reconnect when I get back. We'll both write some articles following up on it, I'm sure. But then at some point shortly after, we'll reconnect and look at some bigger picture stuff too. How's that sound?
Absolutely. Anytime.
Beautiful. Make sure if you don't, I tell people every day, Fighting Irish Wire, type it in Google, read about Notre Dame from Nick, myself, and everybody else over at Irish Wire. Thanks for giving me some time today, man.
Absolutely. No, it was fun. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for, I don't know. Sorry that it took so long for me to get a date that actually worked for you.
Nope. It's all good, my friend. All right. Enjoy being nice and warm tomorrow. I'll be thinking of you.
Yeah. I'll be watching Peacock. Just.
Yeah. Loading. All right. See you, Nick.
All right. Take it easy. Thanks.
Thanks for joining. Oh, man. I love when he comes on. Beautiful. All right, let's see real quick. We're running out of time, so we're going to go quick. 7:07.
Hello.
You're on the air, my friend. What are your final pre-game blue and gold thoughts?
Well, first of all, John, I think I was listening back on your show, the last show, and that 818 caller, I think that's your friend Patrick Cotter, isn't it?
818 is not Pat. Pat's an Illinois number. That's Rodney, I believe, 818, because that's a California number. Yeah, Pat would have been Chicago 708, I believe.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say his very kind words that he spoke of me, so I appreciated that.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. He'll be at the tailgate tomorrow. We got a good group.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. At some point, I'm going to have to get together with you guys, because I really do enjoy your podcast a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. I enjoy you listening. Yeah, Pat's a 773. But yeah, 7. You need to let us know when you're going to be in town. You come for any actual games? Let me know when you're going to come into town.
Yeah. Now, what I'm also wanting to let you know, John, is that I want you to look at this as a little bit like I'm going to live vicariously through you for this weekend, okay?
Okay, let's do it. Is that good or bad? You can end up losing your hair? Because that might be what happens to me.
Well, the thing is, I kind of want you to treat this as a little bit of a business trip, because I want you to bring, like, business cards with you. I want you to get a press pass, because, you can tell them you're an ESPN contributor. You have your own podcast that you're on 3 days a week. So I want them to give you a press pass so you can get it down on the field. And then I want you to start looking for former Notre Damers and things like that to come on the show. Like, give out a business card if you have any made at all. I want you to start working this, because for your own good and the growth of your show, because I think you deserve it. So I want to see good things happen as a result of you going to this game, which means you got to work a little bit.
Yep. Nope. I appreciate that. And we are at the point where last year too, I don't go to Notre Dame just to go to Notre Dame and it's yaha time. I have a list of objectives. So I have certain people I'm meeting for business things or things with the show, and different people to meet with and go over stuff. So I'm right there with you. And also, that is something that could be worked towards through the USA Today Irish Wire writing deal. There is a possibility I could get a media credential through USA Today Irish Wire on behalf of them. But I want to get through some more history with them and know that they can trust me to represent and do all that the right way. But that is that's all stuff that I've thought of. And I'm glad you've thought of it on my behalf. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you deserve it. I think you have one of the best shows that is really, you have no ego, and that's what makes everyone really like your show, I think, I mean, you get mad, your heart's on your sleeve, just like most of us that are wanting to see more, better, and overdo more and better from Notre Dame. So
yeah,
just,
you know what happens, man? No, you know what happens, and I've seen this. I think a lot of people who do this kind of stuff are convinced they have all the answers and they only want to hear themselves. And I look at it the other way, like I just want everybody to be able to have their opinion and their voice it. And I might say I disagree with it, but I saw a gap here where I felt like Notre Dame people needed to get their voice heard a little more. And I'm happy to fill that gap and be the conduit. I love it.
Yeah, and you're open to learning that, no one knows everything. So you're open to learning different opinions and seeing things you might not have seen before coming through from other diehard fans. And I think that's really what your base is a bunch of really diehard fans.
Think about it, man. All of us here all these mornings, even when there's no games going on, like there's something wrong with all of us. You know that, right? Like we're not wired right. We ain't wired right. I know I'm not wired right.
Exactly.
But I love it.
I don't ever remember like being this into Notre Dame until your show is, in the off season, it's like, yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do. But
yeah,
because of, just so much volatility to what's happening in college football, I don't think you can help but be engaged with it,
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Yeah, for sure. There, and you know what else? You know what, man? Some of that I think is just natural. It used to really be where the off season was really, really quiet and there wasn't that much media going on at all. And then recruiting, you would have like that 2 weeks. Now there is media coverage year-round college football. It's not games, but it's everything else. Transfer portal, NIL deals, regular recruiting, like the conference is shifting. Like it's just nonstop anymore. So I think the whole nature of it changed. Yeah. It's year-round media, big business now.
Yeah. Well, I sure hope the best for you in that when you get there tomorrow and the things you got to do, because if you were able to get some of the former players, that come on your show, that would be so great. And then even have them take calls from people like us, have them on there and then take some calls for them.
Man, you're right on my mind. You're right on my mind because one of the things I want to do in the off season in the summer is highlight like I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but like a Faces of Notre Dame or something and talk to some former players and get their experience. Other people, maybe not even players, but deeply connected to the program in their own way and kind of get their opinion. And so I do have a list kind of going. And that is something I'm going to look at all summer. You're right on it.
Yeah, well, good. I'm excited for you and for everybody there at Always Irish for tomorrow. I think you're going to all have a great time, but don't get too messed up because you got work to do when you're there.
I know. I'll behave myself. But you know what? Pat coming isn't going to help that. Pat likes to encourage that activity. He knows how to get me. So I got to be careful of him. But it's just a great opportunity to be on campus, meet a lot of new people, and it's going to be great. I'm excited. Weather be damned. I'm going to have a good time.
Well, hold Patrick off till the end of the night when you can do shots together. But
there you go.
Just understand you have a little bit more going in this meeting than the average guy there.
Yeah.
And I just want to see you succeed. That's all.
I really appreciate that, my friend. We're on the same page. I go there with objectives every time. People to meet, things to do, different stuff. So you're thinking the way I am, and I love it.
Yeah. Now, the only thing you're going to see, I was listening to some other podcast, is they're going to have quite a few guys not playing. But, even still, even if they were stars, they're not going to play much anyway. Like, I think Estime is going to play, but Diggs isn't.
Yeah.
And what's that tight end? Mitchell Evans isn't going to play, and Bauman isn't going to play, and Collie isn't going to play.
You know what?
So,
who am I to be picky?
Shame, but
Who am I to be picky? I just want to see Notre Dame football. I'll take what I can get.
especially with like you were talking with another guy earlier, it might have been the last guy, about seeing all the younger guys, and if they're good enough to play them. I'm all about that too. I want to see the best players on the field. So nobody gets a pass just because of your name. You got to go out and earn it, and then the best players play can only help Notre Dame. So that's what I'm hoping you're going to be able to see, is a lot of young kids that we don't really know yet much about yet. You have a chance to show us all, why, they came to Notre Dame and they expect to be great at Notre Dame. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. That's all I got for you today.
Awesome.
Have a great time.
I really appreciate it. And thanks for looking out for me, big picture too. It means a lot. Appreciate it.
All right. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Oh, I like this. That's beautiful. Work on that all weekend. Go Irish. I like that. Work on that. Polish that baby up. Polish that up. You got to get that grovel in you. The only way you get that deep of a rasp is from yelling at Kelly for a decade. And then you come out at the other end and it's all deep. That's right. Oh, that's what it's from, man. All right. Have a good weekend. Look for me. Look for me in the stands. Oh, God, that's funny. Man, you guys are a riot. That's so funny. Oh, man, you guys are jerks. You guys are exposing my college years in the chat here, Pat and Angela. Talking about the old days. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, folks, that's going to be it. I do see a bunch of callers. I had to give Nick some time whenever he could join. I got to go pack. I have like a full SUV to pack and a whole bunch of coolers and all sorts of stuff for tomorrow. So I am literally going to go upstairs and start packing, go get a bunch of ice, load up the beer in the coolers. I want everything done tonight. So tomorrow morning, we're off to South Bend and we have a relaxing, fun day. Pat, Angela, I know I'll see you guys tomorrow. And anybody else, beautiful. Anybody who has any questions about anything, DM me, email me, whatever. Everybody's invited. I want to see you there. Thanks for all the donations, all the chats, all of the calls. And we will see you tomorrow at the game. Have a good one.